Hey everyone, it's Zach with Palantir Research. We got a major partnership announcement this week that excited investors, as well as much more news. So looking at the stock first, Palantir had a flat week, but if you were watching on Thursday and Friday, it was kind of a bumpy, volatile ride. We'll talk about the news catalyst that caused it later, but essentially Palantir has been bouncing around this low to mid $20 range for a while, so we'll continue to monitor that. So first news, Palantir released a new demo on their customer service use case. The significance here is that it's based on the AIP Now page, which was actually by previously customers and developed there. And after posting this demo too, Palantir advertised their webinar being ran from Lowe's, taking place later in April, who helped develop this template use case. So it's always great to see more demos, of course, but the direction the company seems to be going now is trying to have customers learn that there is more out-of-the-box solutions from Palantir, whereas before the reputation was similar to getting the tools and customizing your own solutions, so it may have been daunting for customers thinking that they needed to build this out from scratch. So this hit-the-ground-running approach hopefully will work, and we'll continue to monitor if this actually pushes more customers, and maybe even as more use cases get added on, they'll have more webinars from other major customers. Then, Palantir re-released their article on the amazing results they helped the Department of Veteran Affairs, or VA, with, and that's in regards to their contract management system. So the big headline has stayed the same with the $90 million in cost avoidance in just 6 months, so it's glad to have such a positive article back in the public's eye, and this major customer is someone that a lot of folks have curiosity on because it's their government business, but also intersects with healthcare and even the military, considering the management of the United States veterans. So yeah, it's always great to see them working with the VA. Now note, it's not necessarily on the medical outcomes focus here. As I mentioned, it's for their contract management, so more on the financial end of managing their budget, but essentially we'll see them spread more out, and hopefully this leads to, of course, use cases that are similar to other healthcare customers. Then, Palantir released their 13G for their ownership in a company called MSP Recovery, or LifeWatch. Now, to be very frank, this is a penny stock, and Palantir is only picking up shares because they're getting paid in shares, which is no surprise for a cash-strapped company like them. Now, any look at the chart, you'll see the overlaying narrative for this company, but it's not a reflection of Palantir at all, in my opinion, but rather think of it like an angel investing, whereas the risk is very high, but with getting paid in shares, maybe it could turn out okay. And if it doesn't, it's not the biggest loss in the world to them, and you'll write it off. So I know on the other end of things, there was a lot of euphoria in after hours for MSP Recovery investors, and I noted it was a non-news event, in my opinion, just to be wary of. Of course, if you're in the stock, I don't know. I mean, it was good for you if it went up, but it's not really news that means anything, in my opinion. But it's cool to see the effects that Palantir could have, though, on a company, even if it is a small fry as such. Now, if they can actually do this kind of work with, say, a more major company and well-known, and possibly having that same effect in the future, like how other big techs do, like NVIDIA is a big one. So yeah, we'll see in the future if this actually turns out to be a very, very important thing for Palantir when they announce these different ownership stakes. Then, some minor news with one of Palantir's business development executives, Christina. She'll be joining a space company actually as the chief revenue officer, and the notable aspect here really was that she built her career over a long period of time at Palantir, over 14 years, since 2010. So she was overseeing and contributing much so to the expansion of the government, as well as more recently commercial customer base. Now, I'm not saying it's bad news considering the time as well she has put in here, and it's not like she's leaving immediately, but what's cool is the possibilities of not only this individual case, but over time, more and more Palantir alumni, specifically those who have built up Palantir like her, going out and spreading to more industries and potential customers and partners over time here. Now, obviously, nothing is guaranteed, but as long as Palantir employees are able to land leadership roles, it always increases that chance ever so slightly for possibly just taking on that technology for themselves. And then more and more marketing is coming out from Palantir from their latest AIPCon event that just happened. They released the highlight reel here playing in the background with so many quotes from customers and leadership sharing their experience. It's a great way to actually get the customer experience highlights like that 100xing or productivity improvements or just savings in general. All of them without needing to fully watch the whole AIPCon video if you're not interested. And I always bring this up, the more touch points potential customers can run into or something possibly going viral, I know it hasn't, the better. One day Palantir might push something out there that goes viral, and who knows if it lands the big whale or multiple whales just from happening over time. So keep up the good work, Palantir, and getting that marketing material out there some more. Then we get another protest against Palantir from some NHS and medical workers out in the UK. This is mostly due to the support of Israel and calling them out as a profiteer of war, although it seems they don't know about the work in regards to defense and deterrence as well as security. But regardless, the second reason too for the protest is for them working with the NHS and winning that FDP contract. Now, we know they keep referencing the stealing of data and patient privacy as a concern, but it really seems there's no regard to the pros of utilizing a Western supporting battlefield tested and secure company like Palantir for their NHS system. And let alone they're also working with other major healthcare systems proving this. Now, if these actually produce action for detriment results to Palantir, that's one thing, but seems to be light news honestly, as we'll continue to monitor. Then, Palantir also gets named as another participant in a new Army project for autonomous ground vehicles. Palantir, alongside Anduril, won as the software system integrators for these two projects. Now, it's still the prototyping phase, just so you know, so maybe over time we'll get knocked out or possibly knock on Anduril. Now, we don't get too much in regards to specifics like dollar amount, timelines, or even the amount of phases of producing the prototypes, or if this is even going to be on a large scale. But still, I point out in my daily video that Palantir continues to pop up alongside the Army with these new projects, showing Palantir has at least some innovative bone in their body to contribute to these next generation projects that the Army has planned out. And don't just assume it was a given. The Defense Innovation Unit, or DIU, noted there were 110 responses for these projects, and out of them, Palantir is one of the 8 vendors listed to participate. So it goes to show they are in it to win it, and they're still very competitive. And then the hugest announcement of the week, in my opinion, in a while actually, is Palantir partnering up with Oracle. Now, this is already huge because Palantir has been working with all the big cloud providers, and adding Oracle there officially adds another notch to their flexibility. And Oracle has a huge footprint around the globe when it comes to customers and their IT infrastructure. I'd bet most of you have worked on something powered by Oracle, or even without knowing it there, and it's in the back end. And also by proxy, this shows almost a buy-in from Oracle saying Palantir's AI services are valuable. Why compete with them when you can just be the one helping distribute them? Hence, the partnership to sell AI services on top of Oracle's cloud infrastructure opens up a huge new opportunity to gain more customers already on Oracle. So we'll see if this helps them over time, and maybe we'll get some words from Oracle themselves at some point on how it's going. And this is also the news that caused the slight spike in the stock price, at least in that morning it was released. Now, as a lot of folks saw, these gains all disappeared throughout the day and actually closed down mostly due to macro reasons around the Fed's comments that day. But regardless, it's still good news here. But with anything, the idea of Palantir being $50 billion right now with their current financials still is a pretty penny to pay for them. Hence, I wouldn't be surprised at these kind of movements and volatility and positive news unless we get something real meaty and with potatoes and say numbers that will actually move the business. But that's just my opinion. Then we've got a new blog post from Palantir covering their MOSA, or modularity approach to building out the Titan vehicle. And this is also important because this is the focus of the Army right now. And of course, Palantir can provide this because of their technology and products here that they've built out over time. And also on the same day, we got an article from the Washington Post regarding Palantir and drone warfare out in Ukraine. Now, that one didn't really focus on Palantir too much, but just the general drone kind of environment that's happening between Russia and Ukraine. But these both really tied together on the same day because it shows the current trend in warfare towards more light but coordinated warfare. And of course, this plays a role too with increasingly having unmanned and automated weapons too. But this all relies on a strong data infrastructure, of which we hopefully see Palantir increasingly become more and more the main provider of for these militaries around the world, at least for the US allies. So yeah, just another busy week. Let me know your thoughts below, and I'll see you in the next video.